29th of December, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua. Vayigash.
Hey. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's go.
Hi, Rabbi. How are you?
Baruch Hashem, very good. Wait 1 second. Yeah.
Hi, Robert.
Okay, let's go. Hi, Robert. Okay. There's
Good
one point
afternoon.
actually.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's lunchtime here, 1 o'clock. Okay, I guess it is sort of afternoon. Let's go. I just wanted to make a point which I'd forgotten to mention yesterday. Pasuk Gimel. Vayomer Yosef el Echov. Ani Yosef. I'm Yosef. Ha'oid avi chai. Is my father still alive? What kind of question is that? Ha'oid avi chai.
It's pretty insulting, I would say.
I know that. I mean, obviously, it's a rhetorical question. It's not a real question because Yosef knows full well that Yaakov is still alive. It is really part, and that's it's part of his. It's a rebuking question,
right?
Meaning the thrust of Yehuda's monologue over here was that how can you do this to Binyamin, take him away, and if he's going to take him away from Yaakov, it's going to cause Yaakov's death from grief. Right? You have no compassion. That's basically Yehuda's taina to Yosef. You've got no compassion. You take it away Binyamin. You're falsely accusing him of having taken this goblet. And okay, so you're going to say, okay, so what? He's going to become my slave. But that's not just the point of it. You have no compassion on our father Yaakov. Because if you take away Binyamin, Yaakov's finished. To which Yosef says, you're so worried about Yaakov's grief, how he's going to be anguished and in pain as a result of the fact that Binyamin's taken away from him. So comes Yosef, he says, Ani Yosef, ha'oid avi chai. Is my father still alive? You didn't think of that when you sold me. It's interesting. I mean, it actually goes to the whole thing. I'm not going to go through the whole thing now. But what was Yosef's plan? Obviously, we see it over here. This was behind Yosef's whole scheme. Why initially he showed them, he acted very harshly towards them.
He wanted to see if they did teshuvah.
Right, exactly. That was the thing here. So that's really what he said in these 3 words. Ha'oid avi chai, is my father still alive? Okay. Let's continue. We got up to Pasuk Let's go Pasuk Dalet. Vayomer Yosef el Echov, Luke.
Hey, you said?
Dalet.
Oh,
I think
Dalit.
we have Dalet, but I don't sure we did the Rashi here.
Vayomer Yosef el
Echov.
Gesu na Eli.
Geshu with a she. Geshu no.
Geshu na Eli. Vayigashu Vayomer Ani Yosef Achichem Asher Mechartem Osi Mitzrayma. So let's see. Yosef said to his brothers, "Come close to me." And they came close. And he said, "I am Yosef, your brother, that you sold me Mitzrayma to Egypt.
Right.
You sold me to Egypt. I am Yosef, your brother, that you sold me to Egypt."
To whom you sold to Egypt.
What's OC? Isn't OC me?
Right, that you sold me to Egypt.
No, that's actually not true. They didn't sell him to Egypt. They sold him to the caravan.
Yeah, but that was the yeah, but it's pretty obvious. So the question is, he was sold a number of times. It goes into the Chazal to have a discussion. Who did the brothers exactly sell him to? Because if you go back to Parsha's Vayeshev, it says Vayavru in Anoshim Midyonim Socharim, Vayimshuch Vayali Yosef min Abarim Yosef LaYishmaelim. Vayaviu es Yosef Mitzrayim. They brought him to Egypt. But it's pretty obvious that the brothers were aware where these merchants were heading. And therefore, that was their intention. I mean, they just didn't leave him in the desert. They could have just pulled him out of the pit and left him in the desert. The intention was, let's send him somewhere where most probably he hasn't got much chance of survival, but we're not going to do, put it this way, we're not going to do any, not going to leave him in a situation where for sure he's going to die. We'll rather send him off to a place where the chances are he'll have to be left to his own resources. So we'll see really if he's deserving to live, then he'll live. If he's not deserving to live, he won't live. Okay?
Geshu na Eli, come close to me. Ra'a osam nisogim la'achor. He saw them backing away. Amar, he said, Achshav achai nichlamim. Now my brothers are ashamed. Kara lahem, he called to them, B'lashon raka, with a gentle language.
Right.
V'sachanunim, and supplication.
Pleading with you.
Hera lahem, and he showed them shehu mahul, that he was circumcised.
See, Rashi L'chaya, this last phrase, V'herlem Shumo, was the fact they insisted, please draw near to me. And the idea behind it is that he wanted them to show that they should so that's where Rashi gets it from, that he wanted to show them that he was circumcised. He didn't want something which they should have to come close to be able to see. Okay?
I don't think it means that he actually took his pants down and showed them his
What else?
physical circumcision. I think it means that he showed them what kind of a person he was. When you say a person is circumcised, you mean to say that he's a refined person, that he's
But I think, but it's both.
a kind person.
It's also, it may be so, but it actually shows them that he was circumcised, because that was really a proof that he's from the family of Yaakov Avinu.
No, not everybody in Egypt was circumcised.
Oh, so you're asking a good question, right? The Maya said everybody was circumcised. So what was the point of showing them that he was circumcised? So the Mefarshim discuss this point. Some say that only, even though Yosef required that all the Egyptians should be circumcised, as we're going to see later on, in order to have food. I'm sorry, not in last week's Parsha already mentioned it. But nevertheless, there's a part of the circumcision process was called Priya, where you have to bend back the remaining skin, and it doesn't grow back again, which is called the Priya, or HaPriya, which is only in Jewish circumcision is that done. Whereas in non-Jewish circumcision, whereas the circumcision which the Mitzrayim had, Egyptians had done, was only just removing the foreskin, but not bending back the Or HaPriya. So this is what he was showing them, that Yosef was showing them that he had circumcision done according to the Jewish way, particular way which was the way of the descendants of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and not just the regular circumcision.
I still have to express my objection to
Why?
this whole idea. Well, first of all, because it's crude. You don't pull down your pants in front of a bunch of people in a hall, in a banquet hall. Number
Well,
two,
it wasn't a banquet hall. He said
there's a much smarter way to show them that he's
there was
Yosef.
nobody else there. There was nobody else there.
They're there.
So-
The halacha says you shouldn't go around your house naked, even if nobody's in your house.
Correct, but he's just proving a point.
But there's a
And
much
that's why he
better
tells
way
them
to
come
prove the
close, and I
point.
want to show you
He
something.
can tell them things that only he would know. It's easy for him to demonstrate to them that he's Yosef
He
without.
wanted to show them some actual physical proof. I don't know if I ever told you, it's really nagea to what later on it says in the Gemara, that Yaakov didn't believe the brothers that this was Yosef. And then he says he saw the wagons which Yosef had sent, and Rashi says, what does that mean? That he saw the wagons. First of all, it wasn't Yosef who sent the wagons, it was Paro that sent the wagons. But besides that, he says, what was Moab saying? He saw the wagons which Yosef had sent, and now he believed them. All the other details of Yosef had told them all the details of his family and everything, everything from the to the minutest detail. Yaakov still didn't believe them. Okay, he wasn't sure. This may be an imposter, maybe somebody who's met the real Yosef and he got all his information from him, but it's not the real Yosef. This person is an imposter.
That was, Rabbi, that was from the last Parsha that they studied before he was left to Egypt. it was Eglah Arufa.
Right, exactly. So that's the whole point. That's what Rashi says later on in the Parsha. Rashi says, where is it? Divrei Yosef. It's called Pasuk later on, chapter Mem Hey 45, Pasuk 27. Okay? So he said, so Rashi says, they heard by Dabra Elev, it's called Divrei Yosef. They told Yaakov bin all the words of Yosef that he had told them. By Yaros Hagolos, and he saw the wagons which Yosef had sent to carry him. Atachi Ruach Yaakov Aviyah. And the spirit of Yaakov was rejuvenated. Okay, so Rashi says that this is exactly what you mentioned, Robert. Simon Mosalem b'maho ya'isek k'shapirish menu. He told them, you should know, when I was left my father, I was learning within the sugya of Eglah Arufa. And he says, so you see, that's what I'm going to send Agolos, and this will remind you, this is what we were learning Eglah Arufa. So the Mefarshim asked me, so that detail, yeah, that convinced Yaakov that this was the real Yosef. Everything else didn't convince Yaakov that this was the real Yosef. But the fact that he told them when I left my father, the last sugya I was learning and then was a sugya of Eglah Arufa. Yeah, now that's the real Yosef. Yes, Yaakov says, he told you that? I believe you. I believe him. This is the real Yosef. Why that detail should be more than anything else? Anyway,
that was the last Parsha.
So you proved my point, Rabbi.
Sorry?
You proved my point. He demonstrated to Yaakov that he was Yosef by giving him information about what they had learned, not by showing him.
Okay, now that was so that he could provide to Yaakov, but he wanted now to prove to the brothers that he is the real brother. He's Yosef. Anyway, I just want to tell you, I'll tell you, illustrating with a very nice story of happened at the time of the Vilna Gaon. So we're talking about something like late 1700s. The story was as follows. There was a young couple who got married, and about a few months after the wedding, the husband disappeared. One fine day, didn't come home, just disappeared, leaving no trace whatsoever, no message, no nothing. He's no note saying I've left, no, nothing, absolutely, totally disappeared. Okay, anyway, unfortunately, this young lady was now left as an aguna. She couldn't get married. She didn't know where her husband was. No get, no evidence that he may have died or anything like that. Anyway, for years and years, she lived like this. One fine day, a guy turns up and he's looking he actually has a very strong resemblance to the original husband. And he claims he's the original husband and he knows all the details and everything, family, everything. However, the wife, the supposed wife, is very unsure. She says something, even though he's showing everything that he's like my husband, right? But I'm not convinced. And I don't recognize him as my husband. And even though he's saying all this evidence that he is my husband, I'm not convinced. Needless to say, this was a very major thing. If he was the real husband, then all good and fine. If he's not the real husband, then it means this is an imposter and he's about to do a tremendous avera. He's going to take somebody else's wife when she's a married woman. Anyway, the Rabbanim in the town didn't know what to do. How should we do? Can we believe him? Can't we believe him? Especially as the wife didn't say for sure he's not the right husband. Right? She just was very unsure. So they decided to go to consult with the Vilna Gaon. The famous Rebbe Yom of Vilna. Anyway, they went to ask him. And the Vilna Gaon said as follows. He says, you know what? Take him to shul. Take this man to shul and see if he knows where his place is in shul. So they listened to him. Lo and behold, they took him to shul. And lo and behold, he didn't know where his place was in shul. And he had to admit that he was not just an imposter, a great imposter. But anyway, the woman was saved from a tremendous avera. And needless to say, this man, I don't know what they did with him, but certainly he was thrown out of town. So they went back to the Gaon and they asked the Vilna Gaon, how did he know that this question, whether he was, how did he know that this was going to be able to prove the point, whether he was going to go to, he could ask him, what's his place in shul? So the Vilna Gaon answered as follows. This man, if he was the real husband, fine, you would no problem, you could take him to shul. If he's not the real husband, that means he's scheming to do a tremendous avera, to take somebody else's wife. If he's going to do such an avera, there's no way that he could have things spiritual in mind. He's going to, obviously what he did was he tried to find as much information as possible about this man, and that he was going to set up a thing that he's going to pretend to be the husband. And he obviously did his homework and asked all the relevant details about this person. Obviously, he had met the original husband and he asked him all the information. Obviously, he didn't tell him, I'm going to even try to pretend to be you. But he obviously tried to get as much information out of the real husband as possible. Said the Vilna Gaon, one thing I was sure, if he's going to ask for information, he's not going to ask for spiritual information about this man, because he's on the verge of doing such a tremendous avera, a bad thing. Then I know 100% he never asked him, would never ask the real husband, where did you sit in shul? Where was your place in shul? So and indeed he was proven right. The Vilna Gaon was proven right. The same thing over here. Yaakov Avinu was worried. Who is this guy? It's either one of two choices. Is it the real Yosef? Then that's fine. But maybe this is some imposter who met my real son and got a lot of information out of him, and now he's pretending to be Yosef. Said Yaakov Avinu, one thing I know, if he's trying to pretend to be Yosef and he's not the real Yosef, then he's a big liar. He will not have asked him anything about his spirituality, anything that involves Yosef's spiritual information. By the fact that now Yosef is now sending a message, Father, you remember we were learning Torah together and we were learning the sugi of Eglah Arufa. Oh, he's giving spiritual information about himself. He must be the real guy. Yeah. Anyway, so that's going back on why that was the convincing information for Yaakov. All the other information that he knew, all his brothers and sisters and servants and maidservants and everything else, all the other information about the household, that didn't convince Yaakov. But he knew that now that Yosef's providing spiritual information about himself, that what sugi he was learning with his father, then that is the real Yosef. Okay. Okay. Anyway, about your question, certain situations, you're going to say to the doctor, somebody needs to go there for a medical examination. And that part, and whatever, in his lower parts. And he's going to say to the doctor, well, listen, it's embarrassing. I can't pull my pants down. What are you going to say about such a guy?
I would
When
say
the situation requires it, you've got to do it.
correct.
And that the situation here required it.
No,
Okay.
not correct.
You don't think it's correct? I disagree with you strongly.
But wasn't it also the Egyptians were freshly circumcised where
Yeah, but as I
Joseph
pointed out, the Jewish circumcision was a different form of circumcision.
it was an older circumcision.
Right. Also, you could also say you're right. There's that point, Robert, because that the skin contracts. So therefore, if somebody had a fresh circumcision, his skin wouldn't have contracted to that same degree. It's also true. But don't forget, we're talking about, okay, so it's a matter of a couple of years now. And it's not such a major period of time. Okay, let's continue now. Pasuk Hey, Meir.
Okay, hey. Whoops. Says, Viata al ta'atavu vi'al ichar be'enechem ki mechartem oti hena ki lemichya.
Heina, comma.
Oh, hena. Hena. Oh, okay. Ki lemichya shilachani elokim lifnehem. Lifnechem. Okay, so let's see. And now, do not be saddened, I guess.
Right. Do not grieve or do not
Grieve.
Do not be
Okay.
upset. Do not be upset.
Do not be upset. Okay. And don't yichar. I'm not sure what that is.
Be angry.
Oh, be angry in your eyes because you sold me here. Okay, you sold me here, right? That's where the comma was. Okay. Okay, key, because
So Rashi is going to explain this word. Literally means limlichio for sustenance.
Oh, for sustenance. Oh.
Shalachani elokim lifnechem. Hashem has sent me before you.
Hashem sent me before you.
Right.
Okay, very good. And Rashi. Oh, yes. Lemichya. Okay. So this is one that's in the Mechaye Mekim also. Same word. Okay, Lihya.
Slightly different. It says mechaye means to revive. Here, michya
revive.
is a noun form of meaning sustenance.
Okay, and he says
Lihiyot
lachem lemichya. Okay, to be for you, I guess a supporter
to be
of life.
To be a provider of sustenance for you.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue. Pasuk Bov. Lou.
Okay. Ki zeh she nasaim hara'av b'kerev haaretz v'od chamesh shanim asher ein charish v'katir. So it means for these two years,
right?
Hunger
of famine, right? 2 years of famine
is in the midst of the earth, and furthermore,
in the midst of the land.
Furthermore, 5 years.
Or not necessarily furthermore, and there will be another 5 years.
Va'od chamesh shanim. There'll be a further 5 years. Asher ein charish. There will not be plowing the katir or harvesting. So Rashi says, Ki zeh shenasayim. for these 2 years are avru that have passed mishnei hara'av of the years of the famine.
Yeah. Now, what the point Rashi's adding here is zeh. Zeh means something which is virtual, actually being seen right now, can be seen. Which 2 years are we referring to? It could be past, it could be these 2 years coming up are going to be years of famine. So Rashi's pointing out, no, this 2 years, if it's said, if you're saying zeh, it's obviously referring to something which is not abstract, futuristic, right? But rather something which is concrete, something that actually happened. So that's what Rashi points out, too, because this past 2 years basically have been famine in the midst of the land. And now there's going to be a further 5 years when there's no plowing and harvesting. Okay? There's just one more Rashi, one more pasuk till Shlishi. I think that's where we'll stop.
I never thought about this before, but I had always understood that Yaakov came down at the end of the 7 years.
Nope, he came out after two. He came back after 2 years.
But I thought the famine ended when he came down.
That is correct. That's the whole point. There was the 5 years which should have happened, in other words, to complete the 7 years, did not happen. They were suspended. And in fact, it says only later, after the Jews left Egypt, many years later, did another 5 years of famine happen to complete the original 2 years, to complete the original, the prophesied 7 years that was going to be. So the Maisa, only 2 years happened. And as long as the Jewish people were there in Egypt, then there were no longer any more years of famine. And then after the Jews left, many years later afterwards, I think at the time of the prophets, it says then there were another 5 years of famine.
Because there was a tzaddik that arrived in town.
Right. Rashi mentions at the end of this parasha, I'll show you. Where does Rashi mention it? The thing was suspended. Where is it? Want to see. Rashi mentions it. I don't have it to. You said we didn't see Rashi where Rashi mentions it. Rashi mentions it that where as soon as Yaakov came to Mitzrayim, then the famine stopped. Actually, later in the Parsha, I don't find it over here. I don't find it right now. Okay, I think we'll stop here. Wish everybody a good Shabbos.
Okay, have a good Shabbos.
You too.
Good Shabbos.
Call to be well.
Shabbos, Robert.
Call to.
Shabbos, Robert, Shabbos, Meir.
Good Shabbos, Louis, Mayor,
Okay, be well.
Rabbi. Take care. My pleasure.
Okay.